If you can squeeze into that dress, Rashid Al-Mansur gestured toward the ivory wedding gown with gold Arabic embroidery, his champagne glass catching the chandelier light. I'll marry you right here, right now. The laughter exploded like fireworks. 75 guests at the Dubai Cultural Center's annual charity gala turned their heads. Their eyes landed on Maya Thompson, 32, a hospitality coordinator who'd been arranging flowers near the exhibition when Rashid spotted her. The dress hung on a custom mannequin at the center of the marble hall. A traditional Emirati bridal kaftan worth $1.2 million, designed by Fatima Al-Qasimi, size 0. Waist so narrow it looked painted on, the kind of dress that required a body sculpted by personal trainers and maintained by nutritionists who charged $500 per consultation. Maya stood frozen, her blue uniform suddenly feeling 2 sizes too small. The white apron tied around her waist seemed to mock her curves. Her dark skin flushed hot as every eye in the room measured her against that impossible dress. Rashid, 39, owned half the luxury hotels in the Gulf. His net worth sat comfortably at $4.8 billion. He wore his wealth like cologne, expensive and suffocating. The white kandura he wore was custom-tailored, probably cost more than Maya's annual salary. Come on, don't be shy, a woman in a diamond-studded abaya called out. Single billionaires don't make offers like this every day. More laughter. Cell phones appeared. The soft clicks of cameras. Someone was definitely recording this for Instagram. Maya's hands trembled as she gripped the flower arrangement she'd been working on. Baby's breath and white roses. $3,000 worth of flowers she'd spent 2 hours arranging. Her manager had warned her, stay invisible. These people don't like being reminded the help exists. She'd failed spectacularly at staying invisible. I'm serious, Rashid announced, louder now, playing to his audience. 30 days. If you fit into that dress in 30 days, I'll marry you. We'll have the ceremony right here. I'll even pay for everything. The crowd erupted in applause, as if they were watching a comedy show instead of a woman's dignity being shredded in real time. Maya felt her throat tighten. Don't cry. Not here. Not in front of them. She'd learned in her 8 years working luxury events that rich people had a talent for turning pain into entertainment, and tears would only make the show better. She set down the flowers with shaking hands and walked toward the service exit. Each step felt like walking through wet concrete. Behind her, the laughter continued, punctuated by Rashid's voice. The offer stands. 30 days. The heavy door closed behind her, muffling the sound of her own humiliation going viral. Maya made it to the staff bathroom before the first sob broke free. She pressed her back against the cold tile wall, covered her mouth with both hands, and let the tears fall silently. But something else fell too. The mask she'd been wearing for 8 years. What Rashid Al-Mansur didn't know, what none of those amused guests knew, was that Maya Thompson wasn't just a hospitality coordinator. She'd been someone else entirely, in what felt like a different lifetime. 10 years ago, Maya had been Dr. Maya Thompson, PhD candidate in Middle Eastern Studies at Columbia University. Her dissertation on Emirati cultural traditions and women's empowerment had been called groundbreaking by her advisors. She'd spoken 4 languages fluently, including Arabic. She'd been engaged to a fellow academic, planning a small wedding, building a future. Then her younger sister, Zoe, only 19, had been diagnosed with stage 4 lymphoma. Maya had made a choice. She'd withdrawn from Columbia 3 months before defending her dissertation. She'd sold everything, her car, her furniture, her engagement ring when her fiancé decided cancer wasn't part of his life plan. She'd moved to Dubai where Zoe could access an experimental treatment program. For 8 years, Maya had worked 3 jobs. Hospitality coordinator by day, private English tutor in the evenings, freelance translator at night. Every penny went to Zoe's treatment, to the apartment they shared, to keeping hope alive. Last month, Zoe had been declared cancer-free. Last month, Maya had finally allowed herself to breathe. Last month, she'd started thinking maybe, Just maybe, she could go back to school, finish that dissertation, reclaim the life she'd sacrificed. And tonight, Rashid Al-Mansur had reduced her to a joke. A fat joke, a spectacle, something to laugh about over cocktails. Maya wiped her tears with the rough paper towels, looked at her reflection in the mirror, and saw something she hadn't seen in years. Anger. Pure, crystallized, unshakable anger. She pulled out her phone and typed 3 words into the search bar. Rashid Al-Mansur scandals. The results flooded her screen. Society page photos, charity events, business magazines calling him the most eligible bachelor in the Emirates. But Maya knew how to research. It's what she'd been trained to do. She scrolled past the glamorous headlines and found the cracks. An anonymous blog post from 2 years ago. A woman claiming Rashid had promised marriage, taken compromising photos, then disappeared when she got pregnant. The case had been settled quietly. Very quietly. A labor complaint from a hotel employee, filed and withdrawn within 24 hours. The employee had left the country immediately after. A property dispute with a business partner who'd ended up losing everything. The court documents suggested the partner's daughter had been involved with Rashid. The timeline was suspicious. Maya saved every link, every article, every whisper. Then she found something else. Something that made her hands shake. But this time not from humiliation, from possibility. Rashid's company, Al-Mansur Luxury Holdings, was bidding for a massive government contract to develop cultural tourism sites. The decision would be announced in 6 weeks. The contract was worth $2 billion. The evaluation committee included representatives from the Ministry of Culture, the Tourism Board, and several cultural preservation societies. Maya happened to know 3 people on that committee. She'd tutored their children. She'd helped their wives practice English for international conferences. She'd translated documents for their offices. She also knew something else. The committee took public image seriously. Very seriously. They'd rejected a developer last year because of a domestic violence allegation. Even though the case had been dropped, Maya looked at her reflection again. This time, she smiled. 30 days? She didn't need 30 days to fit into a dress. She needed 30 days to fit into a different role entirely. Not the victim, not the joke, not the invisible help. The role of the woman who would make Rashid Al-Mansur regret every single second of tonight. She dried her face, straightened her uniform, and walked back into the gala. The event was winding down. Rashid was surrounded by admirers, accepting congratulations on his hilarious proposal. Maya walked directly toward him. "Mr. Al-Mansur." Maya's voice cut through the conversation. Clear, steady. Nothing like the trembling woman from 30 minutes ago. Rashid turned, surprised. His friends smirked, clearly expecting more entertainment. Yes. He looked her up and down, that condescending smile still playing on his lips. "I accept." Maya held his gaze. 30 days. I'll be here, ready to try on that dress. And when I do, you'll keep your word. In front of everyone. Documented legal. The smirk faltered slightly. "I was just joking. Were you?" Maya pulled out her phone, tapped the screen, and turned it toward him. The video was already there. 200,000 views. The caption read, "Billionaire promises marriage if woman fits in dress. Will he keep his word? #wedding dress challenge." Rashid's face went pale. "Where did you?" "It's everywhere," Maya said simply. "Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. Your name is trending. People are tagging your businesses, your hotel chains. Some are calling it romantic. Others are calling it fat shaming. But everyone, and I mean everyone, is watching to see if you're a man of your word." His jaw tightened. Around them, phones were coming out again, this time recording Maya. "So here's what's going to happen," Maya continued, her voice carrying across the hall. "In 30 days, I'll return. I'll try on that dress. If I fit, you marry me as promised. If I don't, I'll publicly apologize for wasting everyone's time. Either way, The world gets an answer. Deal? The crowd had gone silent. This wasn't the script they'd expected. Rashid's PR instinct kicked in. He was trapped, and he knew it. If he backed out now, he'd look like a coward who humiliated women for sport. If he agreed, he'd look like a good sport. And surely this woman would fail anyway. Deal, he said, extending his hand. 30 days. Right here. Maya shook his hand firmly. Her palm was dry. His was slightly sweaty. Oh, and Mr. Al-Mansur? Maya leaned in slightly. I should mention, I speak Arabic. I heard everything you said to your friends after your little announcement. Every single word. She'd said it quietly, but the look on his face was worth everything. He'd clearly made comments in Arabic, assuming the help wouldn't understand. Maya turned and walked away, leaving Rashid standing in the middle of his own party, no longer the man in control of the joke. If you're watching this and you've ever been underestimated, ever been judged by your appearance, ever been treated like you're less than human because of your job or your body, hit that subscribe button right now. Because what happens next will prove that the biggest mistake powerful people make is assuming they're the only ones with power. Drop a comment and tell me, would you take this challenge? Outside the venue, Maya's hands finally shook as the adrenaline hit. She sat in her aging Honda, gripped the steering wheel, and allowed herself one moment of panic. What had she just done? Her phone buzzed. A text from Zoe. OHMYGODYO, you're viral. You okay? Another text from an unknown number. This is Dr. Layla Al-Thani. I'm on the Cultural Preservation Committee. I saw what happened tonight. Call me tomorrow. We should talk. Then another. Maya, this is James Rodriguez from the national newspaper. We'd like to interview you about the wedding dress challenge. Interested? Maya stared at the messages. Something was happening. Something she hadn't anticipated. The video wasn't just viral. It was becoming a story. And stories had power. She started the car and drove home, her mind already 3 steps ahead. She didn't need to fit into that dress. She needed something better. She needed to become someone Rashid Al-Mansur couldn't dismiss, couldn't laugh at, couldn't escape. At home, Zoe was waiting up, laptop open, scrolling through social media. Maya, there are hundreds of comments. Women are posting their own stories. Men who've done similar things are getting called out. Someone started a hashtag, #Maya's Dress Challenge. This is huge. Maya looked at the screen. Women from around the world posting photos, sharing stories of being humiliated by men who thought they were untouchable. An idea crystallized. Perfect and devastating. She opened her laptop and began writing an email to Dr. Al-Thani, then to the journalist, then to every contact she'd made in 8 years of being invisible, of being dismissed, of being underestimated. By sunrise, Maya had a plan. It wasn't about fitting into a dress. It never had been. It was about fitting into a role Rashid had never seen coming. The role of the woman who would expose everything he'd worked so hard to hide. And she had 30 days to do it. The interview with the National went live 3 days later. Maya had been strategic. She didn't trash Rashid. She didn't cry about humiliation. She simply told her story. I'm a PhD candidate who left Colombia to care for my sister during her cancer treatment. I've worked 3 jobs for 8 years in Dubai. I speak 4 languages. I've coordinated events for some of the most prestigious venues in the Emirates. And one night, a billionaire decided my worth could be measured by whether I fit into a wedding dress. The article went viral, not just in the UAE, but globally. Within 48 hours, Maya had 300,000 Instagram followers. Women's empowerment organizations reached out. A fitness company offered her a sponsorship, which she politely declined. This wasn't about weight loss, but Rashid's team was panicking. His PR director called Maya personally. Ams Thompson, Mr. Al-Mansur would like to apologize and make a charitable donation in your name. Perhaps we can resolve this privately. Tell Mr. Al-Mansur I'll see him in 27 days. Maya replied and hung up. Dr. Layla Al Thani became an unexpected ally. They met at a quiet cafe in Jumeirah. Layla, 56, elegant and sharp-eyed, ordered traditional Arabic coffee and got straight to the point. "I've known Rashid since he was a boy. His father was a good man. Rashid is not." She slid a folder across the table. "These are copies of complaints filed against his companies, all withdrawn, all settled with NDAs, all involving women." Maya opened the folder. 8 women, ages ranging from 22 to 34. Similar stories. Promises of marriage, relationships that turn controlling, sudden terminations, and payouts requiring silence. "Why are you showing me this?" Maya asked. "Because the cultural tourism contract decision is in 5 weeks. And I'm not putting our heritage sites in the hands of a man who treats women like disposable entertainment." Layla's eyes were hard. "But I can't act without cause. The other complaints were settled, buried. If he faces public accountability for something current, something visible that changes everything." Maya understood immediately. The wedding dress challenge is current, visible, and he made the promise publicly. Exactly. He's trapped himself. If he backs out, his character is questioned. If he follows through and actually marries you, his business partners will see him as impulsive and foolish. Either way, the contract committee has grounds to reconsider. Maya felt the pieces clicking together. "What do you need from me? Keep doing exactly what you're doing. Keep it public. Keep it dignified. Let him make mistakes. Men like Rashid always do when they feel cornered. And Rashid did make mistakes. First, he tried to have his lawyers send Maya a cease and desist letter, claiming she was damaging his reputation. The letter leaked online within hours. The internet exploded with mockery. Billionaire sues woman for accepting his own proposal. Then, one of his friends gave an interview defending him, saying, "It was just a joke. People are too sensitive." The interview aired on the same day another one of the silenced women, emboldened by Maya's visibility, came forward with her story on social media. No NDA could cover what she said happened to her after the NDA was signed. The woman's name was Amira. She'd been a marketing executive at one of Rashid's hotels. He'd pursued her aggressively, promised marriage, convinced her to break off her engagement to someone else. Once she'd isolated herself from her support system, he'd become controlling, then cruel, then violent. When she tried to leave, he threatened to destroy her career. She'd signed an NDA just to escape. Now, watching Maya's situation, she found her voice again. If he can humiliate women publicly and face no consequences, what does that say about our society? Amira wrote in a post that got 4 million views. Rashid's business partners started distancing themselves. 2 hotel chains quietly removed his name from their marketing materials. The Cultural Tourism Committee formally requested a meeting with him to discuss concerns about public image and company values. But the most devastating blow came from Maya herself. 20 days after the gala, she published an op-ed in The Guardian titled, "What a Wedding Dress Taught Me About Power." In it, she didn't attack Rashid personally. Instead, she wrote about systems that protect powerful men, about how wealth can buy silence, about how humiliation is wielded as a tool to keep certain people in their place. Then she revealed something she'd kept secret. Her PhD dissertation topic had been about Emirati women's empowerment and cultural evolution. She explained how she'd sacrificed her academic career for family, how she'd worked in visible jobs while watching the society she'd studied from the outside. "Mr. Al-Mansur didn't just offer to marry me if I fit into a dress," she wrote. "He offered to make me visible, to make me count, but only if I transformed my body to meet his standards. What he didn't realize is that I was already someone. I've always been someone, and so has every woman he's dismissed, silenced, or humiliated." The op-ed was shared by celebrities, activists, and politicians. It was translated into 9 languages. Columbia University reached out, offering to reinstate her doctoral candidacy with full funding. Maya's answer was simple. "After I finish what I started here." Day 30 arrived with international media coverage. The Dubai Cultural Center was surrounded by cameras. CNN, BBC, Al Jazeera, everyone wanted to cover what was being called the wedding of the year or the reckoning, depending on who you asked. Inside, the same ivory wedding dress hung on its mannequin. Rashid stood near it, visibly uncomfortable, flanked by lawyers and PR staff. The crowd was different this time. Not just wealthy socialites, but journalists, women's rights activists, and representatives from the Cultural Tourism Committee, including Dr. Layla Al-Thani. Maya arrived exactly at noon. But she didn't arrive alone. She walked in wearing a tailored navy abaya, elegant and professional. Behind her walked Amira and 3 other women who'd come forward with their stories about Rashid. Behind them walked Dr. Al-Thani and 5 other committee members. Behind them walked Zoe, cancer-free and glowing with pride. The room went silent. Maya walked directly to Rashid. The cameras caught everything. "Thank you for being here, Mr. Al-Mansur. For 30 days, the world has watched this story unfold. For 30 days, women around the globe have shared their experiences of being judged, dismissed, and humiliated based on their appearance rather than their abilities." Rashid opened his mouth, but Maya continued. "I did something during these 30 days. I researched. I spoke to people. I learned about your business practices, your treatments of employees, your pattern of making promises you never intended to keep." She gestured to the women behind her. "These women trusted you. You silenced them with money and legal threats." "This is slander," Rashid started. "It's documentation," Maya interrupted calmly. She handed a folder to Dr. Al-Thani, who opened it for the cameras to see. "These are complaints, settlements, and NDAs involving Mr. Al-Mansur's companies, all legally obtained, all verified." Rashid's face went from tan to ash gray. Maya turned to the dress. "You asked if I could fit into this dress. You offered marriage as a prize for meeting your physical standards." She stepped closer to the mannequin. "But I'm not here to try on the dress, Mr. Al-Mansur. I'm here to tell you something more important." The room held its breath. "I'm Dr. Maya Thompson. I was a PhD candidate studying Emirati women's empowerment. I speak Arabic, English, French, and Farsi. I've coordinated events for dignitaries and royalty. I've translated legal documents that shaped policy. I've built a life through sacrifice and determination." Her voice rose slightly. "I was always enough. I was always worthy. Not because of how I look, but because of who I am." Applause started. First from Zoe, then spreading like wildfire through the room. "And as for marriage," Maya continued, "I wouldn't marry you if that dress fit like a glove. Because marriage requires respect. Something you've never shown to any woman in your life." Dr. Al-Thani stepped forward. "Mr. Al-Mansur, the committee has reviewed the documentation Ms. Thompson provided. We are withdrawing your company from consideration for the cultural tourism contract. Your bid is rejected." Rashid's lawyers immediately started whispering urgently. $2 billion had just evaporated. But Maya wasn't done. "I'm also announcing that I've partnered with 4 organizations to create a fund for women who've been silenced by NDAs in workplace harassment cases. We're calling it the Worthmore Foundation. We've already raised $3 million in donations, and we'll be providing legal support to help women speak their truth without financial ruin." The cameras flashed continuously. Journalists shouted questions. Rashid stood frozen, his empire crumbling in real time. Maya walked toward the exit, her family and supporters following. At the door, she turned back one last time. "Oh, and Mr. Al-Mansur, the dress was never the challenge. Your character was. And you failed." She left to standing ovation. Outside, Zoe hugged her sister fiercely. "You did it. You actually did it." Maya smiled, but it wasn't the smile of revenge. It was something softer, relief, peace, the feeling of being seen, finally, for exactly who she'd always been. 3 months later, Maya defended her dissertation at Columbia via video conference. The title, "From Silence to Power: Women's Resistance in Modern Gulf Societies." Rashid Al-Mansur lost the contract, 3 business partnerships, and his reputation. He issued a public apology that no one believed. His father removed him from leadership of the family company. The Worthmore Foundation helped 127 women in its first year. The wedding dress was auctioned, raising $2.4 million for the cause. And Maya? She returned to academia, finished her PhD, and became a professor specializing in gender dynamics in the Middle East. She never forgot where she came from. She hired former hospitality workers as research assistants. She mentored young women who'd sacrificed dreams for family. If this story moved you, if you've ever been told you weren't enough, if you've ever been judged by people who couldn't see your value, subscribe now and share this with someone who needs to hear it. Leave a comment telling me, what would you do if someone challenged your worth? Because the greatest power isn't fitting into someone else's expectations. It's knowing you never had to. Hit that like button if you believe dignity isn't earned, it's inherent. And remember, when someone tries to make you small, don't shrink. Expand. Expand so much they can't help but see you.